Hey everybody, how you guys doing?
Well, it's good to be back. Very, very good to be back.
What is up, Junkie Nation? Excuse the blue tint. Is like purple haze going on in here. Um, Getting a little into the whole um, Jimi Hendrix kind of mellow fork in here. Oh yeah, it's gone.
That's me. That's me.
Okay, guys, we got a really great show going on for you guys today. But first, we're gonna go ahead and start with some interesting news, and then we're gonna move on to, as you can tell from the thumbnail, we're gonna talk a little bit about Arrow and how it's kind of fallen off a little bit as far as the the favorite DC TV shows have kind of risen. You got The Flash, you got Supergirl, you got Legends of Tomorrow. Arrow's kind of fallen by the wayside. So we'll talk about that. And Simon Says has been spending 11 hours today, 11 hours playing the Division beta. And we'll have him give his thoughts on that. And maybe that'll help you whether you're going to buy the game or not. So with that said, let's get right to it, gentlemen. First, let's get to the interesting news of the day. Big Kahuna, why don't you get it started for us?
Um, let's talk about if anybody's seen Legends of Tomorrow. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've been seeing the show. It's really good, and of course, it came on today. So
We get a really good glimpse at for the next episode next week. We get a really good glimpse of Arrow with his blonde goatee, and we also see Deathstroke. Whether that's Manu Bennett or not, I'm sure it's not. And we also get to see Connor Hawk.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I saw him a little bit today in the clip of today's episode. Man, Connor Hawk is normally kind of a mixed kid. No, this dude was straight black.
This is a black dude.
Yeah,
This is
straight up black dude. But
Yeah, usually he's in the comics and he's kind of tan, blonde hair, tan. Now, this is a black dude. He looks kind of like Diggle, actually.
like who?
He looks like Diggle.
Yeah, he does look a little bit. Oh, you think maybe Oliver's girlfriend, got a little once you go black, you never go back type stuff going on?
Wait, what is the sex of Diggle's baby?
She's a girl.
Oh, it's a girl. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Never
girl.
mind.
Yeah, it's a girl. Yeah,
There goes that.
yeah. So anybody else been checking out Legends of Tomorrow and kind of got an opinion on it?
I love the show. I'm going to tell you that one of the things that I like about the TV series of DC, and I may have stated this many times, is that the feel of how it has a interactive world with the characters that are in one show and in another show. You might start off in one show and then be in another show. I really enjoy that, and I'm kind of glad that they have their own. I don't want to say it's like the Avengers because I don't want people thinking it's a comparison to, because it's not. It's not what I'm making, but it's a team of people that are spread across different shows that they originated, from.
Mhm.
So, I really like the show. I did miss today's episode because I got home and started preparing for this.
Hey,
By the time I came home, it was almost over. So
you know what, man? We'll forgive you. You got a life. That's what it is. Got a life, got stuff to take care of. You can't be everywhere and see everything. We get it. That's why
You
you're
know
massive.
who I really come to like was the team of Heatwave and Captain Cold.
Yeah, that's a really
They're
good
really
dynamic
good.
they got going on there.
For whoever saw Legends of Tomorrow today, there's a little Easter egg where they're planning to break out. They're planning to break into a Russian gulag,
Hmm.
and they're looking over the plans, and they're saying something, and look at Captain Cole. And Captain Cole looks at them and says, "This is not the first prison. This is not my first prison break."
Right.
What would have been awesome? What
Nice
would have
little
been awesome
nod.
is if
Nice
he
little
would have
nod.
turned and
Nice.
looked at the camera.
That's
If he'd have
funny.
looked at the camera when he said that, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been pretty tight. That would have been pretty tight. You're absolutely right about that. First of all, I'd like to welcome our good friend Severio to the chat. He's over there on Twitch, guys. Say hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
And Megashawn is also chiming in on YouTube. Got to get you on here, big
Oh.
fella.
hey.
I'm good, Mega.
Black Panther is horrible.
His attempt at trying to get a careful there, fella, out of good old Megashawn. Good old Megashawn. But anyway, so moving right along. Hey guys, maybe you heard this today. It came across my Facebook feed, and I want to kind of get you guys' thoughts about it. We've all kind of played around a little bit with Metal Gear Solid 5. You know, of course, we had GQ's unboxing, a while back of the big hand, and he's played the game. It's one of the games that Daitakuji actually has gotten to kind of toil around with a little bit in his spare time. But they have in-game currency for that game. You buy it with your hard-earned cash. Konami decided that they're going to put an expiration date on your hard-earned cash and the money that you bought. You have to use it by a certain time or you lose it. What do you got? Some thoughts on that?
I think it's BS. Mainly because, like, how in the heck? Well, it's just Konami trying to cash in on stuff. Because if people are going to buy their money and not play the game, like, if I was stupid enough to do something like that, it'd be something that Dumb Daring would do. But Dumb Daring doesn't exist, so
Dumb daring.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just so they can freaking keep your money because you can't get it back. So
That's very true. GQ, what do you got to say?
Well, I look at it this way. Like Daitakuchi said, they've already got your money. I mean, the second you purchase the currency, you've already spent the money. But the fact that they're going to turn it into this situation of, oh, well, we don't want to maintain a server that has to keep track of all these different, currencies and the amount of money that's left for all these different people is ridiculous to me. And it goes back to one of the things that Daitakuchi and I definitely agree on, that physical, purchases are great because you always have them. You can always go back to the shelf, grab whatever it is. In this case, we're talking about DLC that they're going to just, put an expiration date on, which to me is like, why? What's the point of putting an expiration date on currency that's purchased? So I mean,
Exactly.
it's silly to me.
Simon Says, you got anything to add?
As far as like, the DLC, well, not the DLC, but the actual in-game currency, and then you spend the money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured they was gonna do this crap anyway. They kind of like, I look at it like this. They trying to like distance themselves with Kojima anyway. So I don't know if this is like on their part or just something that they were just being kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna have you pay for it, and oh yeah, and then down the road we're just gonna take it away from you. But I really don't like it. I really didn't really think they needed to do any in-game currency to begin with, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and to your point, I think this is maybe another stab at Kojima in a way. They can kind of like, I don't know, in a way, kind of throw his name in the mud by making another kind of really classless decision to do this to people that have already paid full price for the game, first of all, and then you're making them spend more money, and then you're going to tack an expiration date on that money and say you got to spend it by a certain time, otherwise you lose it. It's just yeah.
Honestly, though, I don't think it's really a shot at Kojima, because in reality, anything they do, people already know that Kojima's not even part of Konami anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like one of those situations of Konami's only got what left, Castlevania now.
Mm-hmm.
So people have already, formed their opinion about like Konami just basically, throwing their reputation down the toilet. And this is just further going another step in that same direction. It's just like, okay, we're going to, charge you for in-game currency, which to me has always been a dumb thing. Even Grand Theft Auto 5 did the same thing, but it was an option. You could always earn, whatever money you needed to earn in the game itself. But it's like they're going to put an expiration date on it. They're basically further tarnishing the reputation of the Metal Gear franchise. But it's kind of a dumb move on their part because people already know that, hey, this isn't really Kojima's thing. This is Konami being stupid. So,
Indeed, indeed, it is
yeah.
Konami being stupid. Well,
Well, hopefully you don't have dumb people because there's people out there that like to blame stuff, and the easier is to blame is the person who made it. I mean, as
exactly,
dumb as that sounds,
exactly.
there are people out there that and maybe somebody in Konami is trying to drag his name through the mud just because you will find somebody out there that thinks it's his fault.
Konami with the hashtag petty. I'll never understand. How far have they fallen, man? I mean, you used to love everything that they did. Now, moving right along. So we also got a bit of exciting news. Everybody loved John Wick, and John Wick Chapter Two's release date has been announced. Big Kahuna, what you got?
They set the release date for February 10th next year, 2017. So
Valentine's Day.
another beautiful violent movie for Valentine's Day.
My Bloody Valentine.
My
Thoughts,
Bloody
fellas?
Valentine's.
Well, I enjoyed the first one. Like seriously, how can you make a movie? Wait, first off, let me back up. Let me back up because if anybody
Go
didn't
ahead.
see John Wick, I'm gonna spoil it. But the first one is because they killed his dog.
It sounds
All
like a
right, so
ludicrous
like
premise, but man,
you
you
don't
don't
fuck
mess
with
with a
the
man
dog.
and his dog, man. I'm
Kill his
sorry.
goldfish. Oh my gosh, he killed his goldfish and he's gonna take everybody out. I mean,
Right.
I love the movie. I thought it was super awesome, and I don't care what his reason is why he went and go kill everybody. I don't care. It was just a great movie. So
It
I want to
was.
go see this new one, most definitely if it's out next year.
What are you looking forward to the most?
What for?
John Wick 2.
What am I looking for? I mean,
What
just
I mean, I guess what made you like the first movie so much
I
that
mean,
you're
I
looking
like
for more of?
I like action movies and I like assassin movies, and that to me was just. I mean, he was just like he was tough as nails. He was trying to keep this life that he was about, and they had to bring him back. And he was just like, you're not gonna f with me, man. I'm gonna you f with me, you f with my dog, you kill my dog, and now you're all gonna pay.
I
Yeah,
totally agree
I
with
mean,
that. I totally agree with
my
that.
favorite part of that was, I mean, damn, the gunplay. The gunplay was just beautiful,
Hmm.
and I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
He was all you need left. All you need left is an explosion with the white doves in the background. You got a beautiful John Woo movie.
That's kind of random. So hey, GQ, going into John Wick, did you really expect it to kind of become a pseudo cult hit when it first came out?
John Wick, honestly, I wouldn't even call it a cult hit. I think it was just a good movie. It was Keanu basically getting a chance to unleash and be Keanu. One of the things that a lot of people don't seem to realize and recognize about Keanu Reeves is he's a very dedicated person when it comes to the acting craft. He gets, a lot of, flack about, the Bill and Ted stuff and the woe and all that other sort of thing. But if you really look at his projects and the characters that he plays, he puts his all into it. And he does a great job of, fleshing those characters out. Neo was really, really good, as far as the Matrix, and then that, became legendary. John Wick is another one. Even like as stupid as and dumb as the movie itself was, 47 Ronin, he still did a really good job as far as training for the film and all that sort of thing. So Keanu really does put his all into his roles. And John Wick was just, it was like, look, they finally let him like really truly cut loose and just go deep into a character, be ruthless, and all that other sort of thing. And the movie came out great. So I think the second one, as long as they keep the same drive and the same feeling with it, then they're going to have another hit on their hands.
Now I have to admit, based on a lot of the things that I heard about 47 Ronin, I kind of avoided it. I still haven't seen it yet. What about that movie you think that would enjoy? Was there anything in there that kind of would remind me of John Wick and make me really have to see it?
No, absolutely not. 47 Ronin was a bad movie overall, but I'm saying
Okay.
Keanu's performance in it wasn't the reason it was bad. It was
I
just,
see.
it
I
was
see.
just a bad, the way they put it together was kind of bad. It wasn't Keanu's performance
I,
that made it bad, though.
The
I see.
action was good. I like that. A little sword play here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Um, so moving right
You
along,
talk. Give
guys.
me two.
So moving right along, we're going to go to a right out of the ridiculous column. There's a report out there that suggests that Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, the blockbuster movie that's getting ready to hit next month, has a 36% chance of being a profitable film. How stupid does that sound? Stunned
Very
speechless.
stupid.
Stunned speechless. I
okay,
get it.
Very
I guess
stupid.
let's
I
not
mean,
all speak at once.
I
I
Yeah,
didn't
let's
read the whole
take
article on
turns.
that.
Let's take
But
turns.
it was some
Who was
kind
saying
of like algorithm. It was some kind of algorithm that somebody created and ran that through the algorithm or some crap and came up with that little probability, which is retarded.
It's probably going off the basis of all the other DC movies. Just because they don't have a really good track record.
Well,
That's what the algorithm is probably saying.
I mean, track record is definitely one thing, but it's like you've got a couple. It's like how like remember back in high school, like they said we're going to grade this on a curve, and you always
Yeah.
had that one idiot that pretty much just dragged the curve down or raised the curve too high, one of the two. This
Yeah.
is a sense where Green Lantern is your movie that's pulling the curve down with like every bit of like cement blocks you could put on it. And then Superman, what was it? Superman Returns is also in that, dragging things down. It's one of those situations where it's like, let's be realistic. Nobody truly knows how much this movie cost to make because DC hasn't released that number. They're probably not going to release that number anytime soon. So for me, it's like profitability, as we all know, is always the budget versus what the box office brings in. If the budget is such and what they actually spent is here, and then the profit is, the box office is here, that in between is your profit. So unless you have the base number to work off of the budget, how are you going to really measure profitability on any algorithm? You can spit numbers out all day long, and it's not going to mean anything.
Sorry guys, I gotta correct myself. I was mistaken. It is 32%. Wow,
And
32%.
I would like. I'm sorry, Ken. But I would like to add is I
Go
really
right ahead.
think it's just they're just really putting way too much pressure onto making this movie into something that will compete with Marvel, and it's like
Well, look,
once you do that, once you put that pressure on yourself to make something that you're not, you're bound to fail. It's
Well,
just,
look, let's be perfectly honest here. Let's all be completely open and honest. This is a movie that Warner Brothers needs really badly, really badly. They have to make this one count. If they don't, there's so much writing on this that if it's seen as a failure, Marvel will win forever. I mean, seriously, they will. I mean, I'm pulling for them. I know how bad they need this. I'm pulling for them to actually get this right because I want them to succeed. But this seems like just piling on to me. This whole report about just being 32%. I mean, it seems like it's just making stuff out of thin air just to hate. It's just I'm not about that. I'm not about that.
I don't know. I have no problem with hatred. I mean, my strength comes from hate.
Of course,
and
of
no
course.
chemical substitutes. But big, huge, giant trivia cookie for anybody that knows where that line comes from. But I don't really see it as hatred. I mean, I like some others have said that it's probably just based on the track record, like Daifuchi brought up, probably based on the track record. There's always going to be Marvel hate. There's always going to be DC hate. I have no problem with either side because it's like I'm still going to go see the movie regardless. I don't care what the critics say. I don't care what the fans say. This is something we've all been waiting for ever since we were kids. So let's throw out all the extra hoopla and let's just go see the movie, enjoy the movie. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, we're gonna rag on it. So leave it at that. I mean, I'm kind of tired of all the talk about it. I just want to see it now.
I mean,
Feel the same
it
way.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the movie's going to even be like. Even if the movie's going to suck, everybody and their damn mama and their grandma are going to go see this movie. So
Almost
box office numbers is going to be through the roof, no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean that's good for Warner Brothers and all that because all they care about is getting your money. So regardless
Indeed.
of that, but as a fan, I want to give them because it is kind of suck because like if they put out a piss poor product, all of us are still going to see their next movie. Put out a piss poor product. We're going to be in there watching the Suicide Squad. We're going to be there watching Aquaman. We're going to be there watching Warner Brothers. None of us are going to say we're not going to go see it because none of them is going to be as bad as Fan Four Stick. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to go see the stuff regardless if it is good or bad. I'm just hoping that it is good because I'm tired of being disappointed by DC. And I'm not 100% disappointed. I'm talking about it's average. When I'm thinking of these characters and the way that these movies are created nowadays, I'm thinking they should be, a B. If you were talking about ratings or whatnot, it should be like a B in storytelling, a B in action, just to be, for me, something that I can go out and rave about. And so far, I've just been getting, besides crappy Schumacher Batmans, that everything's been about a C. So I want to see what they're gonna do. There's no hate.
You're absolutely sure it can't be this bad.
I'm pretty sure it won't be as bad as Fan Four Stick.
Okay, fair enough.
You taint your collection with that, there, sir. Well, anyway,
everything.
I know. Anyway, let's go ahead and end it right there, and let's move on next to. We're going to move and talk about a little bit of We're going to recap Arrow and a little bit of Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Big Kahuna, you kind of saw both shows this week. Why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown about what you thought was pretty nice in both of them this week?
Arrow was kind of mediocre. It's been on this little mediocre stride lately, but the cool part was they went against another team, the Demolition team, and for the most part of the show, the Demolition team kicked their ass. The guy with the sledgehammer whooped Diggle's ass. It was kind of mediocre, and towards the end, you got a little tease for the next episode of that. What's his name? Damien Dark. Damien Dark now has Oliver's son, William.
Mm-hmm.
So, that should kind of pick up a little bit. And next week Arrow, we have Vixen. Vixen's going to be on there.
Vixen, she of her own 3-minute episode cartoon show series that they had. Yeah, she really should have got more run than she's been getting. I have to say.
And hopefully she'll have a nice little role in the show. Because they didn't really, if you watch the preview, they didn't really show Vixen until the very end. They didn't show her throughout the preview. Showed her towards the very
end. Be Luke Skywalker, right? Be Luke Skywalker out of Star Wars Episode 7. Do you think having Vixen in the show might add a little bit of spice to it? And you out there in Junkie Nation, let us know what you think about Arrow as well. And what you thought about these past couple episodes that they've been having. Do you think adding Vixen is going to give the show a similar kick that Constantine did earlier in the season?
Yes and no. It'll give it a kick. As far as the comic book fans, I'm sure they're going to tune in to watch it because Vixen is not a well-known character.
Not at all.
So we're just a regular Joe Blow watching the Arrow, whatever. That's not going to really do nothing for them. They're not going to, they saw the preview. They didn't even know who she was, so they didn't get excited like, some of the comic book fans were. So I still think it's going to get a little boost in ratings because of that.
Okay. All right. GQ, got any comments on Vixen being in Arrow?
I think it's really cool. Because I remember when we first heard that Vixen was going to have her web series, we were kind of disappointed that it's really, this is all you're going to do with her?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool that they finally, going to cast her live action, throw her in the show. I hope it's not going to be one of those long, slow burn things where it's she's there, but she either doesn't use her powers when she first shows up, or it's going to be one of those, we're going to have to develop and then bring her powers in 6 episodes later.
Right.
It better not be something like that. It better be either she shows up and let's go, or she shows up at the end of this episode and we're leading into maybe episode the following week where she's actually going full board using her powers and everything.
Yeah, they better not Goku spirit bomb her.
Yeah.
Right. Well, hey, Simon says, a good friend of the show, Dave Caldwell, just said, females, will get behind Vixen being on the show because they need something to get behind. Do you follow with that?
I agree. Definitely.
I mean, what are the demographics of Supergirl? Because are females who, because if you're a comic book fan, just me personally, and maybe from my experience, if you're a comic book fan, female or male, you're gonna watch stuff because you like the content, not just because it's a female or a male. So, I mean, I don't
I don't
see
know,
just
man.
them bringing people into the show because like if you like Arrow, you like Arrow, and because Vixen's there, and how long is she gonna be there? I mean, she's guest starring, right? Are they gonna
Yeah.
try to doing this to see if they can spin off their own show?
No, she's a
I
guest star. She's a guest star.
exactly. So I don't think that's just gonna bring new people in. Like, oh my gosh, oh they got a female on the show, so let's start watching the show now. So no, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Well, we kind of already talked a little bit about Legends of Tomorrow, but that kind of leads into, my next topic. And, Junkie Nation, follow me along and chime in when you feel necessary. Um, as far as Arrow, as a show this season, um, it hasn't been, it hasn't been like must-see TV for me lately. And I know some of you guys have kind of felt the same way. In various Facebook groups I've been in, I've kind of been following along that same path that, ever since The Flash came and, now you got Supergirl and you got now the Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow seems to have kind of fallen down into the dumps. Like it's the least favorite of the DC TV shows. Even Gotham seems to be more popular than Arrow nowadays. Do you guys got any thoughts about that?
Well,
Well, but about okay, so I like Arrow,
We know.
and yeah, and it does seem like it's calming down a little bit because like the other shows are getting excited, but I'm still they started the season out with a who done it. We need to find out what's happening, and that's what's keeping me interested. And so far they haven't strayed too far from getting to that point. And if they did stray really really far, then we'd have a problem. But
Well,
they
well,
haven't
we'll put
really
it like
strayed
this.
that far.
Well, let's compare a little bit to the Flash. The Flash has a similar thing going on. We touched on it yesterday in the stream about who's the man in the iron mask, who is Zoom. Those types of things. They seem to have been really compelling. Now Arrow, like you said, has a who done it type thing where who's in the grave, we don't know. But even then, you're just kind of like, do we really care? I mean, am I wrong here, GQ? I mean, am I off base here? Is Arrow really still kind of relevant and popular, or is it kind of really falling off?
I think Arrow's obviously going to still be relevant because, again, for DC, it's the first of their shows. It's the one
Hmm.
that started their whole television universe, basically, and then it's the one that allowed the Flash to have it's something to cross over into, and then they, introduced Barry on Arrow. So it's one of those situations where it's kind of like, yeah, the show is starting to get long in the tooth. Some of the stuff that they're doing is kind of questionable, but for a lot of people, it's still that original show that got them into maybe possibly watching some of these other comic book shows. I know Daitakuji, part of the reason you like that show is because it's really the Green Arrow, knowing green is your favorite color.
Yeah, that's
But
right, baby.
but it's the show is good. I mean, like I said, I've only watched the episodes that have been crossover episodes, or for example, the Constantine episode. I need to really sit down one of these weekends and just binge watch the entire series so far.
So,
Because yeah, go ahead.
if I get what you're saying here, you're saying that Arrow suffers from She-Ra syndrome. Because remember when we were growing up, the only episodes of She-Ra we wanted to see was when He-Man was in them. So, is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
I think so. Because if you look at it, like, okay, let's be realistic about Arrow as a character. Yes, when the show first started, we were all comparing it to basically Batman with a bow and arrow running around Starling City. So it was like, okay, well, you got the wannabe Batman thing going. Now that they finally just seem like they want to embrace the Green Arrow character, you're running into the problem of, okay, well, wait, how many villains does he really have to fight?
Mm-hmm.
So once you get into that, with a TV show, it's very dangerous to like have a character that doesn't have a lot of villains to really pull from. So now you have to get guest stars and all these other sort of things to kind of keep it going. Which again, I have no problem with that. It lets DC's cinematic universe grow and expand and continue on. And I like the fact that it's become a hard thing to keep up with all of these shows. Because before, back in the day, it was really just Raw and SmackDown. Like those are the only must-see shows of the week. Now it's not even so much wrestling anymore. Now you've got Monday would be Gotham. Tuesday is like Agents of Shield and Flash. Wednesday is Arrow. Thursday is Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, it's like the fact that the week has become so packed. It's a good thing for like the fans, but Arrow is just kind of. I think it's the fact that so many new shows are here now. Arrow is starting to feel kind of old because of
Big Kahuna, got anything to say about that?
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I still like the Arrow. I watch it every single week. It does seem like it kind of slowed down after the Ra's al Ghul storyline, and also, since he's become Green Arrow, because I mean, when you watch the show, you notice his change too. If you look at the past seasons of Arrow, Oliver was always high-strung, so easily pissed off, always blaming himself, taking the world on his shoulders, kind of thing. And now you see him; he's more calm, friendlier, team player. He doesn't blame everything on himself now. So it definitely there's some kind of change into the show, and it has kind of plateaued, a little bit. But it's still one of the things that's keeping me interested too is I want to know about Damien Dark. I want to know about how he got his, this magic that he uses now, and all the little other mysteries too, and just like from the stills that we've seen before. Who is it that dies? When you see in the beginning of the season, they promo that they show Oliver at a graveyard in front of a tombstone. They even promo Barry Allen's there, mourning it, and in one episode they show Oliver getting to the limo, and Felicity's in there, and Felicity was like, you know what you have to do? You have to kill Merlin. So it's like there's another whole mystery with that. Who is that that's in the grave?
Okay. Now Simon says, is Arrow still kind of must-see TV for you, or are you kind of checked out as well?
No, I'm not checked out just yet. I'm still trying. I'm watching a little bit of it, but and again to where GQ said, like the show. This is the show that started pretty much everything that's been going around with the DC cinematic programs. And true to form, that some of the, he doesn't have that many villains, and you can see some of Batman's villains ink into Arrow, which is kind of like, why are they on this show and they're not even part of his Rose Gallery? To be honest, he does have his own Rose Gallery, but
it's not very strong. It's not very strong. Let's be honest. It's not very strong.
Yeah,
it's not very strong. So GQ, chime in here real quick. Do you think what if you had to put your finger on anything? What do you think it is that drags Arrow down? Because to me, I think it's the flashbacks. The flashbacks I think need to go. Is there anything else you think that drags this show down and makes it unwatchable?
Well, again, like I said, I haven't really been keeping up and watching it, but the things that make a show unwatchable to me is, yes, if they spend too much time, flashing back to the past, flashing back to past events, flashing back to something that happened earlier in that same set of episodes or whatever. It's like sometimes you just got to move forward, because one thing that really gets on my nerves is when they are force feeding, or when they're spoon feeding rather, the audience. It's like, don't tell me every single little detail. Leave some stuff open-ended or up to speculation or something that you got to figure out, or if you didn't pay attention, you got to go back and watch the episode again. I have no problem when they do stuff like that in shows, but when a show is trying to, like, basically, like, here's exactly what the answer is, or here's exactly that little nugget of information that you needed to piece this together, it's like, nah, just tell your story, make it a good one, give me some great action sequences, and keep it moving. But if Arrow is starting to turn into one of those situations where everything is a long exposition about something that just isn't really going to come to any fruition, then there's really no point in keeping watching it.
Severio's wife calls it the Bat Arrow, and I have very little problem with their saying that. I mean, that's fairly accurate. Is it just that they've kind of run out of ideas to do? What do you say, Dadakuji?
Have they run out of ideas? Of course not. They have catalogs upon catalogs of things they can pull and pick from to create new
for the Green Arrow, though. for the Green Arrow?
For
He
the
doesn't
Green Arrow,
he
dude.
doesn't really have that many great stories though.
Look, the comic book has been around for a long time. You don't need to pull exactly because first off, it's not directly based. I mean, it's based off the comic book, but no story is, taken directly from the comic book. So that means they can look at his back catalog like a buffet. They can pick and choose what they want and meld it together. And being the fact that Batman doesn't exist in this world, supposedly. I mean, maybe he does, but he may not at all. And you want to call it Bat Arrow, which it kind of is. You can pull from his stuff too. They got so many possibilities, and even if they don't do any of that stuff out there, if they're still writing comic books, you got people out there who have imaginations and can write these things. I mean, a lot of TV shows hit slow spots, and some of them survive getting over those humps, and some of them don't. But I think the Arrow most definitely still will because it's still a good show. It's still a fun show. Some of the stuff I wish they weren't do. I really don't care about him running for mayor at all. That's dumb. That should be dropped.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
I saw that promo and I'm like, why is he running for mayor? It's like,
Well,
this
that was actually a storyline in the book. That actually
that-
they did pull that from the book. He did run for mayor, so he was kind of double dipping. He was running the city and he was also being a vigilante.
And that's what I'm talking about. But still,
That's
Oh,
fine, but I mean, and again, I give Nakakuji all the credit for his Big Trouble in Little China reference there. He kind of snuck it in real kind of sly like, but prime example, like his rogues gallery isn't very strong, so he did have to borrow from Batman. He borrowed one of Batman's greatest villains for the entire third season. So it's one of those situations. I think, like Nakakuji said, they need to kind of dig back into some of the back catalog and figure out something else to kind of mix it up. Because if the show is, getting to the point where, like I said, I really don't care about it unless somebody else from one of the other shows is showing up on the show, and that's not really a good thing.
Well, he did. They did acknowledge the Batman universe with Oracle.
Yeah, they did mention Oracle, didn't they?
Yes, they did. It was a small little mention, but it was there. So Batman does exist in this universe. But I guess time will have to tell whether Arrow remains kind of in the bottom, because it has always kind of been a slow burn series, and I think maybe it's just maybe it's just run its course. And as far as like being a slow burn, I think something has to change in order to really infuse life in this show, because as it stands, it's not must see TV for me. I mean, as much as I crapped on Gotham last year, Gotham still, can bring me back because it's just crazy. It's a crazy show. It is what it is. So guys, we're getting a little bit close towards the end here, but I want to spend a little time giving it to Simon Says. You can tell us a little bit about the Division. He's been playing the Division for 11 hours. So now that you had a little bit of time with the game, why don't you give us your thoughts on the Division there, Simon Says.
Well, like I said, playing 11 hours since it came live early this morning. The game's pretty solid. I did play the closed beta a while back. That was pretty intense too, but I decided to switch up to the Xbox and see, graphically if it was similar. I think the Xbox is a little more superior, but I think
more superior than what?
Than the Xbox One. The PlayStation, the graphically in there.
Wait. The Xbox is superior to which one?
No. I said the PlayStation 4 graphically is superior to Xbox One.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because it moves. It moves a little bit.
Hey,
faster.
I'm sorry. You better be careful there, man. You might have some people coming looking after you if you keep saying some stuff like that.
Oh, whatever, man.
But no, go ahead.
But between the two, I mean, like far as like transition, linking up with people, it's seamlessly. It was kind of slow, just because it's a beta, and I'm pretty sure everybody is doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll get their the servers worked out. They worked out the kinks in the last few weeks coming up, because it's coming out next month. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot to do in this game. pretty
Give
much
give
you're
us some.
like,
Why don't you give us some examples, man? Because I'm approaching it from the standpoint of someone that knows nothing about the division. I mean, I just know it's a Tom Clancy game. Similar in scope to I think Ghost Recon or something like that, maybe, or maybe
no,
it's like the
no.
sequel to Ghost Recon, or I have no idea really. So tell me, what is the division? What is it all about?
The Division is a RPG shooter. Basically, what you do when you're a division agent, there is a back in I would say maybe it started off as a virus that happened on Black Friday, with a virus spread through bill currency, and the virus spread throughout New York, and basically you're trying to take back New York as a division agent.
So
So you
what
have
what does the virus do to people? What does it do to them?
whatever viruses do. I mean, basically, your simple coughs,
I mean, hey, look. I mean,
bleeding.
we do have the T virus, so that's why I had
Yeah.
to ask.
No, no. It's basically one of those Ebola viruses, pretty much, but widespread.
Oh,
You know
okay,
that.
okay.
Basically, pretty much I would say a good population in New York has pretty much been dying off.
Hmm.
They have a couple of quarantine zones that you can go into, but you have to have you do have masks. You automatically throw those on. But the thing about it is, it's a loot-based game. You're basically going to go around looking for the best loot, best guns, armor, the best, whatever gear you can get your hands on. That's what you're going to be doing. Majority part, trying to level up throughout the actual story mission, but the meat of the actual division is the dark zone. The dark
Now,
zone is that's
go ahead.
PvP, player versus player.
Hmm.
And once you go into the dark zone, you have basically I recommend grouping up, because in the dark zone, Stone Cold Steve Austin said, DTA, don't trust anybody. Don't
Hmm.
trust anybody,
I
because
see.
you can turn rogue in the dark zone, and you can kill pretty much anybody there.
Even
They
your
do
own
have
team.
other. You can disconnect from your teammates and then gun them down yourself. You can do that too and steal their loot.
A recipe for
And
disaster if I ever heard of
yes,
one.
That's not a recipe
yeah,
for disaster. That's a recipe for awesome. I'll be playing that game just because of that.
Right. I
yeah.
figured he would say that. And that. Thank you for that. That's a cue that I was going to lead into. Is anybody in the group interested in playing the division? Before Simon Says had to say what he had to say. Are you even more interested in seeing it now? Nobody.
Well, okay, honestly, I'll put it this way. I've never really been a fan of any of the Tom Clancy games, Rainbow Six, all of that, because realistically, I'm a team member, but I'm not a team player. I've always been more of a
I like
What
fan
that.
of
about Splinter Cell?
I like that.
individual greatness. So that's why single player games have always been more fun to me. That's why fighting games have always been more fun, because it's direct competition. So Tom Clancy's stuff doesn't really appeal to me. But if what Simon says is saying is true, that you get to go in there and betray people and take on your own team and do, I'm gonna have fun with that, because that's
Oh,
fun to me.
yeah.
What
That
about
sounds right
Splinter
up your
Cell?
alley.
You like that?
I own the first Splinter Cell. That's it, and I never even actually played it. I played like the first level.
You're not the
Wow.
only one. I haven't even played the first level.
Dude, you haven't played any of the Splinter Cells. What are you talking about?
You, you're
You ain't
damn
opened
right.
it. You ain't even opened it.
I'm beginning to wonder how many games behind him is actually even opened.
Open? That's about 50%. That's like 95% of the games behind him.
No, not 95%. 5% of them, maybe 3% are not.
There's
That's
a lot of
also
Oh,
like
cellophane back
I'm
there.
sorry. That's a familiar refrain. It gets me every single time. Every single time.
yeah, I own
He,
it, but I ain't played it.
this is like, that's it. I'm changing your tagline. That is going to be your tagline from here on out. I own it, and I haven't played it because it is absolutely the truth. It always seems to happen to you, man. I don't.
We need to make
Well,
What
it's
is
not
it?
always. There's a lot of games that I do
we need
play.
to make him a
Just
shirt
not
that
as
says
many as
that.
I like
Yeah.
to
Yes,
play.
we do. We definitely need to make him a shirt that says that. I own it, but I haven't played it. Oh man. Oh man, that's something else. Oh man. Whew. Thank you for that, Datakuji. I appreciate it. And on that note, Junkie Nation, we're about to draw it to a close. It's been a pretty good show, and come back tomorrow. We're going to have a couple more surprises. It's Friday, and we're going to have to cook up something real special for Friday so we can send off the show in style for the weekend. But until 10 o'clock tomorrow, do us a favor. If you're following us on Twitter, watch out for stream updates. We're going to get Simon Says up on Twitch so you can see him playing the Division beta. I'll hop on and play XCOM. God, that game is hard. Can't tell you how hard that game is. It is really hard. It maybe even unnecessarily hard. But hey, I love a challenge. It's all good. It's all good. And maybe this weekend, you'll see me and GQ on there. Well, maybe me because he doesn't do online matches. Maybe you'll see me online playing Street Fighter Five, and
You'll see me. You'll see me.
No, you
You'll
won't.
see me.
No, you
Yeah,
won't.
you will.
No,
No,
we
you
won't.
will.
No, we won't.
No, you won't. You won't.
Yeah, you
see it.
will.
We
No,
won't.
no, you won't. No,
That
you
game
won't.
ain't even
No.
open.
I'm
Right.
gonna open the game right now.
No, he's gonna open it right now, guys, but he ain't gonna play it. I can almost
Yeah.
guarantee that. Almost guarantee it.
That,
So
that game
anyway,
is not being opened.
I want to
Exactly.
play it. Look at
Yeah.
it. It's open.
That's an optical illusion.
right. Well,
Wait, there's no game in there.
until tomorrow,
Yeah,
guys. I'm Kenshiro, and as Simon Says, that's GQ, that's Big Kahuna, that's Great Datakuji, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.